Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I'm a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too because you're watching content like this. The name of this channel is Holistic Manifesting because I believe in a whole body, whole mind, whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives that we're choosing, right? So today, what I'm discussing today is the faster that we dismiss people, places, and things that do not work in our lives, the faster we reap the benefits from making that decision, right? And I think about this when it comes to have you ever had something happen in your life where the situation was whack, the people were whack, and you held on to this thing, and then you realize that you were there past your expiration date? And in this meantime, you kind of lost your esteem. You might have lost your drive. You might have lost your vision. And my belief system is that the faster we see these things for what they are, like see people for what they are, see situations for what they are, see environments for what they are, whatever it is, the faster we're telling the universe that we are being very clear about where we want to go next, right? Because I think when we hang around in these unhealthy places, the universe is like, maybe you like it. Let me give you more of it, right? I think the faster we dismiss it, we send a very clear and concise message that this is no longer something that I'm going to entertain in my life. Therefore, I'm ready for something else. And anything that looks like it'll be out of the way. Best example I have is, and I'll get started with my 5, things that you benefit from when you do this quickly, briefly, efficiently, concisely, and you move on. Is when I was in my first marriage, it was very tumultuous, always some drama, always some nonsense happening, right? Now that I'm more mature, I realized that I was reacting to a lot of nonsense that was being brought to me in the setting. But just thinking about that, I remember how rude and nasty I used to feel like, situations turned out to be. And I'm not pointing at anyone in particular. But right after that, I met this guy and he wanted to go out and do things and hang. And I remember thinking, he seems nice, but there's something oddly familiar about him, right? And only after a week of dating him, I'd say dating. I mean, that's what you do, right? You went out with someone, you call it dating. But went out with him after a week after getting to know him, I'll say that. He went off on me for no good reason, just yelling, fussing. I was just like, what is happening, right? And I remember my mindset in that moment. I was like, oh, I only need to see this one time. And I was done with that. This person must have been tried to contact me on every single thing, LinkedIn, you name it, right? But I was so grateful that in that moment, I was realizing that I was done with that type of behavior. I don't care what direction it came from, right? I was over it. I was not going to entertain it. And that was one of the swiftest, quickest, fastest decisions I remember making. And I do not think that I know that it was the right decision. And so we just have to remember that these things happen. And that the quicker we walk out of that job that we know is awful, the quicker we move on from that relationship that is just not checking all the boxes, the quicker we get rid of those friends who we know are talking about us behind our back, whatever the thing is, right? The quicker we move away from our family of origin, right? I feel like people really never get to know who they truly are until they actually move away from the people that know them the most, right? And until we do that, we rarely get this level of clarity that we want to experience, right? So that's my number one thing on this list. The quicker we do it, we find this amazing clarity that shows up in our lives, right? Because being able to be that swift and that decisive and that efficient with your decision making, this is working, this is not working, blah, blah, blah. It means that you've gotten to a place where you're very clear. And then being in that space after you make that decision and then you create the new environment, or you begin to create the new environment, or you shut those things down, the clarity is amazing. It's amazing because you really get to see clearly, dang, Yeah, I was right about that. Yeah, that was not what I wanted. Yeah, that was, you get that real like rush of clarity, and it can be a beautiful space to be in, right? Number two thing is that when you get rid of those things swiftly and quickly, it's like you get an opportunity to cleanse your energy palette. So if you've ever been in a situation for a very long time, there's a certain type of vibration or energy that you are reciprocating with an environment, a person, or a place, or whatever. And when you get that opportunity to cleanse your energy palette, you get to truly sit back and see, is this something that I want to create more of in my life? Was I truly as excited about this opportunity as I thought I was? Was I truly as into this person as I thought I was? Was this friendship really as great as I thought this friendship was, right? It's like that energy palette clearing, then you're not, in the same space of attracting the same type of situations. I always tell people, whenever you get out of like a job that was ridiculous, a relationship that was ridiculous, a friendship that was ridiculous, or whatever phase of your life that was ridiculous, always give yourself an opportunity and moment to cleanse your energy palette, because if you just keep on running along, you're just going to create and react and attract the same thing that you just ran away from, right? Because it's not clear. That energy, that haze over you, it's still there, right? The third one is that in this process, it moves you mentally without you even really knowing from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. Because think about it, the only time we ever deal with things that are less than optimal, less than what we would prefer, a person that's less than what we would prefer, a friendship that's less than what we would prefer, a job that's less than what we prefer. Whenever we're doing that, in our minds, we're only holding on to it because of a scarcity mindset. And it doesn't mean you have to be full on scarcity mindset, but it means that you think holding on to this thing is better than moving forward because you see this thing as more valuable than it actually is. And you're seeing it as more valuable than it actually is because a part of you is believing that, this is as good as it might get, right? And so we just have to be honest with ourselves about that, right? When we're able to chop them things off, chop the people off, chop the places off, chop the things off, and we can just be decisive and move on pretty quickly and be like, nope, that's not it. And it's kind of like if you're shopping in a store and you see a dress and you know it's not going to be right. You touch the fabric. It's like you don't romanticize it. You already know you don't like the fabric. It's like it's a perfect dress, but it's not going to feel good on my skin. So you just push it to the side, right? The quicker you get with that, the quicker you are shifting your mind to more of an abundance mindset, more abundant because you're actually believing that what you want is out there, right? When you put back that dress that's the wrong fabric, you're believing that the dress you're looking for is out there, right? When we put back the relationship that's not what we want, we're believing that the relationship we do want is out there, right? And when we put in, all these things have to be done with good energy. If you're doing any of this with negative, harsh, rude, angry energy, then that means that you truly don't understand the process of making a decision and moving forward. We don't have to be angry and frustrated and aggravated when we can just use our words. We can be really clear, be like, this is not really what I wanted. I don't need to be frustrated because I can just release this thing out of my life. And then the things that I really want will have space to come in, right? Anyway, so you move into a much more abundant and a fuller mindset. Like you don't get trapped up and caught up on that one thing you're focused on, trying to make it into something that it's not. You have an opportunity to see the world for the abundance that it is and understand that even if something is not what I want, I don't have to hold on to it. I don't have to eat that nasty lunch if there's other lunches out there that can be had. You know what I mean? I don't have to do that job if there are other jobs to be had. I don't have to have these friends if I can go make friends that are better fit for me somewhere else. It's just, it never ends, but it opens you up, right? Number four is you have the data now. You have the data you need in order to make better decisions, right? So when we're real quick about that, moving on and we shut these things down in our lives, we have this information now that tells us, hey, I could be sitting in a prison with the door wide open and it's not necessary, right? So now we have this data that tells us, you know what, this was not the thing that I wanted. This was not where I wanted to be. And now that I have this information, I can now build and create the things that are a better fit in my life, the things that are more compelling or more interesting or more, fruitful that I want to experience, right? And then number 5 is when you're able to do that, you feel so confident in yourself. Let me tell you, if you're looking for a good confidence boost, put back something that's no good for you that seems like a last option. That's just the thing. Like if you're in a store and it's like you see an outfit, I do clothes, but if it's shoes are a good one for me, right? Because I have long toes. Always have. So I can't just buy every little shoe, right? Because sometimes they make my toes crunch up, and getting a shoe bigger doesn't make a difference because it just flops off the back of my foot, but my toes in front are comfy. So we got this imbalance that happens to me quite a lot in shoes. So I go get shoes, and I've been in this position so many times. I'll put on a pair. When I put on a pair, and I'm like, everything feels so perfect about it. It looks perfect and all that, but it's pinching my pinky toe really hard. In my 20s, I stuck with those shoes because I'm like, well, this is the only option. I have long toes, so I have to, minimize my need for a shoe with more room because I'm the one with the problem, right? Late 20s, I was like, you know what? As long as it's comfortable, whatever, then it doesn't have to be the perfect looking shoe, right? Then I went to that phase. This is a good analogy. I love it, right? And then come my early 30s, I was just like, I'm not putting on nothing. I'm not wearing nothing. I'm not buying nothing. I'm not even trying on nothing. And immediately when I slip my foot into that shoe and it feels pinchy, funny, it's just going to get worse over time. It doesn't get better. People say, oh, break them in. Yeah, but if they're painful from the moment you get them, they're not always worth breaking in, right? So we have to think about these things. As time goes on, I feel so confident now in my ability to go and buy and do and grab things out of the store, shoes and all that's best for me, because I've let go of the idea that something was wrong on my end and that, I needed to do all of the conforming, right? So we have to get into that mindset. You'd be like, hey, there's nothing wrong with anybody, but I'm slicing and dicing. I'm cutting and shutting. Because when you get that quick, it's like you're telling yourself that you believe in yourself. You're telling yourself that you're worthy. You're telling yourself that you are abundant and that you have access to things and that you are growing and that you're expanding and that you deserve everything that comes along with that, right? That's what you're telling yourself, right? And this is for everybody. There's no specific type of person or whatever. Everybody needs to be in a space where if this is not working in my life, I need to cut it out. We don't need to run things in the ground. We don't need to tell people ugly things. We don't need to tell them how awful they are and give them a list of all the things that they don't do right and all that kind of stuff. We don't need to even go there. That's not even necessary. We can look right at a situation and look right at a person, a place, or a thing and say, this doesn't work for me. I'm moving on. And there's something right now that I don't like very much that I was just thinking about that I'm moving on from. And it's a therapist. I got it from my daughter for, just because I think it's good for everybody to go to therapy. But the person that they matched her with, I don't really like her. And it's not for any personal reasons. It's just there was a lack of professionalism in the interaction. And my daughter didn't like it either. But I was like, let's try it and see. But now I'm thinking that's exactly why we are doing this whole thing. We have to know that we are worthy to get what we want, right? And if that person is not meeting the standards, this therapist that I chose for her, then we can go ahead and grab somebody else. I don't want her to think that you have to just give everything a try because, well, it's the right thing to do. Well, sometimes it ain't the right thing to do. Sometimes you need to slice, dice, get these people, place, and things out of your life so that you can see clearly, you can make better decisions. And the level of confidence is because you truly believing in yourself. You're confident in yourself because you didn't let yourself down. You gave yourself the highest and the biggest and most appreciative response to anything that somebody doesn't like. And it's saying, hey, I don't have to do that. I can go do something else, right? Anyway, I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And just keep that in mind. The faster we dismiss these people, places, and things that don't sit right in our lives, the quicker we start manifesting what we choose. And it comes fast. It comes in a flash. It comes super fast, right? If you walk away from things for the right reasons, with the right mindset, with the right attitude, and knowing that you put out your best effort and you did your best, you gave your best energy to wanting to see the best out of whatever the situation is you can walk away feeling confident, feeling free, feeling peaceful, and knowing that I did what I was supposed to do there. And now I'm open for the big thing, right? And when that happens, because it's so clear and it's so concise, the right things start beating you upside the head. I promise. They start flowing in your life like you never even guessed it, right? Because that's all it needs. That's all the universe wants, right? That's all the creator's asking for, is a really clear, concise mindset so that it can speak directly to you and share these things, and you can be the vessel for these amazing things. But when we are tricking ourselves into, we know that we're worthy of one thing and we deserve one thing and that we should have one thing, but all our actions are saying that we have scarcity mindset and we really don't believe, right? Then it's a very confusing signal. So we just want to get clear. And let me tell you, the quicker you walk away from things that do not serve you is the clearest sign you can give to all the people, places, and things involved. They get it real clear, right? And then you also get it clearly, right? Anyway, I hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. And until next time, keep manifesting magic.